See, Red Nation, what's good? Bulls come away with a dub. That's exactly what we needed to see. Appreciate y'all for tuning in and rocking with us for another Bulls post game. Hit that like button, man. Subscribe to the page because we do this every single game. Comcast willing. Shout out to everybody that shows up to the show, man, and shows that love. Hit that like button, man. Good dub. Good dub by the Bulls. Something that you wanted to see them do. A dub that I mean, listen, good dub by the Bulls, right? Great dub. It's always good to get a dub. One you were supposed to get. One you were supposed to get, and they got it. I like it. I'm happy to see it. There's some things in this game that I don't like, but I think it's more so the Bulls were. What's the term they always give you? Don't play with your food. I feel like that's what the Bulls kind of did there. And you want to find a way to win games when you have bad shooting nights. That's what it comes down to. They had a bad shooting night. Bulls didn't shoot the ball the greatest tonight, but they still got the job done. They still came away with the dub. So that's what you want to see, man. Notables in tonight's game, man. You got to talk about Nikola Vucevic. You got to talk about Nikola Vucevic, man. When we're talking about getting the job done. First off, two posters that say, "Meet me at the rim." Meet me at the rim. That man Vucci was going crazy tonight as he finished the game 31 and 15. He was 14 for 25. Didn't knock down a three ball, but only took 4 of them. That's the important part that you have to notice there. And then on the other side, DeMar DeRozan with his 5th straight 30-plus point game. This is becoming a Kobe-like run. 38, 6, and 5. He finished the game shooting 50%. He was also 14 for 16 from the free throw line. So, listen, those are your big notables. And then Kobe White contributing with 16, 9, and 5. Really good game for Kobe White. Ayo Dosunmu with 12, 8, and 9, 5 for 8, 2 for 4. Kobe White was 4 for 6 from the three-point line there. And you can't say enough. I'll say this. You can't say enough, right, about the effort of Derrick Jones Jr. You can't say enough about the effort of Derrick Jones Jr. You can't say enough about him coming out there, making play. You could see visibly that he was in pain. You could see visibly that he was struggling to continue keeping himself in that game. But he kept himself going, kept himself fighting through it. So I respect the mess out of players that are able to do that, man. Especially when and not that he was the interesting thing is, right, it's not that he was like, oh my God, great, but what he did defensively, him being able to cut, him showing a commitment to the team. Listen, Zach LaVine's out. I can come back. He was supposed to be back in 4 to 6 weeks. Or no, I'm sorry. He was supposed to be back in 6 to 8 weeks. He was supposed to be back at the same time as Alex Caruso and Lonzo Ball. Comes back early. He's got the cast on there. I respect the mess out of that, dog. I just do. It might be a little thing, but to me, being able to see him, for him to show you, listen, I'm gonna come back out here. I'm gonna give everything on defense. He did seem a step behind, but it's really just that commitment to it that you really respect out of Derrick Jones Jr. So you gotta love that as well, man. I just feel like, and I'm running over to the Twitter now here to see if we can get Billy Donovan at the podium here. I'm really excited to see how this team continues to improve when they get healthier. I put out the video today asking the question, did the Bulls fall back? Did the Bulls fall back in the Eastern Conference by not making a move? Did the Bulls not do enough in the Eastern Conference by not making a move? And to me, listen, when this team's 100% healthy, they were the best team in the Eastern Conference. Are they still? That's going to be yet to see because they're not 100% healthy. But I'll tell you this. We're very worried about where we're seated. We're very worried about where this team is seated as the pettiest man alive is in the building. We're not talking about anybody else named Petty. Oh, he's out of the building right there. What just happened right there? Petty's gone. That's how petty he is. Petty was in the building, and now he's out of the building. Is Petty coming back? We don't know. He's holding up the one finger. He said, I'm not sure what's happening right now. Give him a second. I'm calling it like the game right now. Petty, hand in the air, right side. Now he's back in the game. And there's Petty.
I feel like the camera quality just got worse all of a sudden, too.
That could be the internet as well, man. You're rocking with
You,
that.
you know, you know, you
rocking with
keep
the
trashing
old
this internet.
the
Business class. Don't worry about that.
hey,
Right?
hey, but it's that I'm not gonna say the company's name, but hey man, hey, come on now.
Let me
Kid
see
gets
something. Let me see
outside of
something.
Indiana. He said, I can't mess with Xfinity no more. What's going on, my boy?
Now, Xfinity out here is trash.
Oh, for real? Nah, that's tough. But no, kid, what'd you see tonight that you like? What'd you see tonight that you dislike? What are your thoughts on what this team did? And I mean, really, this is a game you were supposed to get. We kind of expected this one. But it's always good when you get them. You got some problems when when you lose them. So it's good to see the Bulls get.
Yeah, absolutely. No, biggest thing for me is just Vooch still rolling. Vooch still rolling, having a monster game, showing us some lift. Nice two nice posters there. Them looking for that.
That lift was ridiculous. I ain't gonna lie to you.
You've been trashing him. You said he couldn't jump over a phone book. He gave you 3 of them right there.
Hey, no, not a phone book, my G. A phone book was credit. I said he couldn't jump over a North Chicago phone book. That lift was new.
Well, he gave it to you right then.
We ain't got but like 1,400 people in the whole city.
At the same time, looking at the chemistry between him and Ayo. Him and Ayo have developed a nice little 1-2 punch right there. If you all look at it, Ayo's looking for him. He knows where he wants the ball. He gives it to him in the right spot. They have a really nice chemistry there, and I like it. I don't know if they just spent a lot of time in the gym together, or Ayo is just that man. But from a point guard perspective, he's getting it to him, and that's where a lot of Ayo's assists come from, feeding it to Vooch. So I like seeing them on the court together. Outside of that, DeMar did DeMar things. It's one thing to sit there and say, yeah, we don't like the ticky-tack fouls and stuff. And as a basketball fan, I don't like when a non-foul is called, right?
Yeah.
Him jumping into defenders. But he's on the Bulls. He's on my team.
Yeah.
We won, and we're winning because of it. He's getting to the line. All right, cool. I take that. I really take that. Can't wait to see what happens when Zach gets back. Now, mind you, do I like the fact that we struggled against OKC? No, I don't. I don't like that. I don't like it at all. But do I mind this being one of those games where, hey, we always complain about rebounding? Troy Brown, was it DJ? Was it DJJ?
DJJ. No, Troy Brown with 11. Troy Brown with 11.
Troy Brown with 11. We had other people were stepping up and giving us double-digit rebounds. When was the last time we had 2 people with double-digit rebounds? It's been a minute.
I gotta look because I can't.
Has it happened this season?
Oh, it's definitely happened. It's definitely happened because Javante's had double-digit rebounds.
Javante had one.
Ayo's had double-digit. Lonzo's had double-digit rebounds. So it's definitely happened.
Yeah.
But I'd have to look at the game. I ain't gonna lie to you. We got 12 or we got 69 nice in the building. Hit that like button, man. Hit that like button so we can get this thing jumping. Let's get this thing busting, man.
You just couldn't resist that, could you?
Push the button. Hey, look, dog. Anytime I see 69, dog, nice. No, I agree with you, man. We want you guys to call into the show as well. 855-908-5668. The Contender phone lines are open. Fam, Shay's my favorite dude on the line. Let's go out to Shay. I'm going out to Shay. I was going to take a minute to say something myself. I'm going out to Shay for one reason. Because y'all know that it does the screening thing. So every now and then, the name don't come out right. So every now and then when he say his name, it doesn't come out right.
As my man has a stroke right there, we're going to take over real quick. Almost have to.
I got it. Hold on.
Hold on, wait. I hit him with the, you ready? If you're not ready, don't worry about it. Oh, that focus came in too horrible. Look at that. Hey, AT&T, what is we doing, baby? That is not looking good.
You look bad out here.
You look bad. Hold on, I gotta fix something. Something doesn't look good here. Hold on.
Hey, Shay's name on the screen says, "Do I even need to say my name at this point?" He knows we know him that much. Shay, what's going on, my boy?
What's going on, man? I'm happy that we won. But at the same time, I got some complaints, man.
Let's
When
do it.
Vucevic is the only one that had the matchup tonight, and I feel like, yeah, I'm happy for DeMar doing this thing, and that's good. We need that against, and sometimes, but when Vucevic is killing tonight, you gotta give him the ball, man. You gotta give him the ball, man.
Yeah.
Now DeMar was killing too, but you gotta give him the ball. Again, Ayo DeSumo is definitely making it a little tough on Lonzo Ball when he come back, because you can see that the Bulls trust him when it comes down to the game clutching scores. And hey, I got to and I see P Kid did this on purpose. You got to give it to the boy Kobe White, man. You got to give it to him.
Hey,
Yeah,
kid finding everything new he can to trash Kobe White, man. Hey Shay, we gonna put you on a little bit. I'm gonna return you to the queue. We gonna come back to you. You ain't gotta hang up, but we got Billy Donovan on the line. All right, my boy.
All right, cool, man.
All right, so here we go, and let's go out to Billy Donovan, coach of the Chicago Bulls, breaking down what we saw tonight.
An unbelievable mid-range player. I mean, when he came off pick and roll and got to the elbows, I mean, those were like layups. And I think that the unfortunate part is in today's NBA, there's been like a devaluing, of those shots. And I think that, not all 3-point shots are created equal. And I think people are really seeing, how dynamic he is. I would rather take 2 points than no points, and when he gets to his spots on the floor, I mean, he is just he's an incredibly unique player. And, he's got, I give him a lot of credit because he works hard. He takes care of himself. He comes ready. He's incredibly professional, but he's as good of a scorer as I've been around to answer your question.
Is that something you guys talked about when you were thinking about pursuing DeMar, you and AK in the front office, kind of the fact that he's kind of zagged with the zig of the league?
I've had a conversation with him. I had a conversation, with Chris Paul, because I think Chris coming out of Houston where they took a lot of 3-point shots, there's this thing where, we got to shoot more threes. Sometimes I don't necessarily, I really believe the analytics are an important part of the game. I do, but it's not the end all be all. And everything is not about numbers. I think everything is about, how do you try to utilize the strengths of an individual player? And I had, my last year in Oklahoma City with Dennis Schroeder, Chris Paul, and Shea. They were all guys that kind of played in that mid-range, floaters, runners, that kind of stuff. And I think when you look at an individual player who gets those kind of shots like DeMar, who is so elite at it, I mean, he's as good as there is in the league at it. We talked about it. I felt like when he came and he and I had spoken that I want him to be him. I'm not interested in him. Like if he's got, I think he's a way better 3-point shooter than maybe he's been given credit for. So when he's open, if he wants to take those, it's fine. I think that he's selective. I think people sit there and say, well, he's not a really good 3-point shooter. It's not that. He just doesn't take a lot because he gets to better areas of the floor and he's maybe more efficient there. But I really, in our conversations, had talked a lot about, because when he was in San Antonio playing against him quite a bit, and even in Toronto, just, seeing him, I've always been a big fan of his game. And I just wanted him to come here and be him, and hopefully he feels like he's able to do that.
What did you guys do in the third quarter to get Vooch going? 15 points in that period.
Yeah, I mean, we posted him a little bit early to start the game. I mean, I think that we started off slow. I thought Oklahoma had, better energy than we did to start the game. I think we kind of picked it up.
Everybody in the chat called that.
This has been a tough stretch, having Zach out and Javante out. We were down bodies. There was a huge load asked for DeMar and Vooch tonight. Vooch was really good. I think there were some opportunities. He had 5 turnovers in the first half, and I think some of that, helped him actually in the second half figure things out of where he kind of gets some spots. But, he was a monster down there. He finished around the basket, a couple of really, really great dunks, great plays. He was a presence down there. And, they had normally like to come from the backside to trap. And I thought he really made some really, really good decisions in that third quarter where not only did he get it out for some shots for some guys, but he also had some great finishes.
Some bursts on those finishes. You think that's a thing with the turnovers? You think that kind of inspired him a little?
He's really a smart player, Vooch. I mean, he's really, really smart and he's very experienced. I think that, going through that first half, he, like any player, it's like the same thing with DeMar. I think a lot of times when you watch DeMar play, DeMar kind of reads the game as the game's going on. Like he's reading that first 6 minutes. Like a lot of times he's not necessarily injecting himself into it. I think because we did some things to get Vooch down into the low post early in the game, there was some coverages and things that happened. And some of them were all in the low post. But I think Vooch can figure out what's going on, what's happening, how he's being guarded, and then he adjusts very well.
You mentioned that with Derek, it was a matter of his pain tolerance level, and he certainly had a lot of pain to tolerate. I mean, he looked like he was in a lot of pain when he smashed it on that dunk. He also deflected a ball. What kind of feedback did you get from him throughout the game, and what do you think his status is now?
Yeah, I mean, I asked him with maybe 6 or 7 minutes to go in the fourth if he thought he could continue on. He said yes. So, I mean, he's going to have some of that. It's just like we had talked about before the game, how much can he tolerate of it? I don't think it's like crazy pain for him. At least that's what he's told me. So I don't want to speak for him. But he's going to have some of those things where he's going to get hit. And it's probably going to, run up into his elbow, and he's going to feel some pain, and then it kind of subsides, and he can kind of move on.
What does that say about him that he's playing through that at a time when you guys put the short answer?
Listen, I mean, I think that I don't know if he knew what Javante's status was today, and I think he's looking at our team and having Javante out, Zach out. If he was to be out again tonight, we're playing a lot of different guys in a lot of different situations. And, I think his feeling probably was he's a great team guy of how can I come in there and just kind of contribute and jump in there and get in the fight and do what I can do to help. So I just appreciate him, willing to do that. There was no pressure on him to play. It was really all his decision, and we've left it up to him. And he felt like he was at a place where he could tolerate it. So, maybe this will be good for him, give him some confidence that, okay, I played in a game, got some good quality minutes, banged my hand, I felt it, and I can kind of move forward with it.
I wanted to follow up on Vucevic. Like last 3-4 weeks, he's shooting like 60%. And, those close-in shots, the first 20, 30, he was missing those shots all the time. What is he doing something different? What are you seeing the difference that now he's so accurate with these shots when he had so much trouble before?
I agree with you, Sam. He had a really, really hard time. I think the shots around the basket, even some of the mid-range shots, the threes, just kind of uncharacteristic for him. I feel like he's had the biggest adjustment, between Zach and DeMar. And what I mean by that is that, and I said this before, Zach and DeMar, when the ball's in their hands, they can get to spots and create their own shot. Vooch needs a lot of times other guys to find him in the post quickly when he's open, find him on pick and pop situations.
Oh, Billy
find him in
Donovan
the
saying what I
pocket.
said at the beginning of the year.
And, sometimes when you're learning how to play with new players and you've been accustomed to doing something for 9 years in one place and kind of know when and where it's going to happen, you get a little bit better. So a lot of times for him, I think it's him figuring out, okay, where my spots are with certain players, where am I going to get it from certain players, what's open inside the offense. And I think it's taken, but I think he's really done a great job. I think he's mentioned a lot about trying to figure things out. That's the figuring out. It's not necessarily figuring out his offensive game as much as because when you get the ball and you're not ready to shoot or expecting to shoot, it's hard to shoot a high percentage. And I think he's got a much, much better feel with our team in terms of where he's getting it, when he's getting it. And I'm hopeful that he's feeling more and more comfortable, inside of what we're doing and inside with the different combinations of players he's playing with.
Billy, how much of that is on him versus the other guys on the team, though?
It's both. It's both, because what ends up happening sometimes, and I've said this, like when you're playing with a really good pick and roll player like Vooch is a big man who can roll and pop and play in the mid range, you got to get it to him in rhythm. You got to get it to him where he can kind of get his feet set. He can kind of get into his shot. And there's also a point too, where he's got to also, understand the player he's playing with, when that player is more likely to pass it to him. So it's really kind of it's no different than pick and roll coverage defensively. It's kind of a 50-50 deal. Both players have got to work together, on it. But also, I do think this, and I've said this many times, and not intentionally, there's a lot of times that we miss Vooch. We miss Vooch in the post. We miss him on pick and pops behind the 3-point line. And the thing about him is he's always been a great team player with that. And he knows he's playing with new guys. And guys now, when you show film, they can see, hey, listen, he's open in these spots. This is a good area to get him the ball. So it's really both players working together and players recognizing, when he's open and when he's in position and rhythm to shoot.
I just one.
Sure.
I may have dozed off before
You did?
game. I might have.
You might have. Okay.
Yeah. What's wrong with Green?
Why didn't you ask that earlier?
I may have dozed off.
Okay.
Like I said.
It was really kind of a strange. Thank God, nothing MRI, nothing too significant. It's almost like a bruised foot. When he landed, his leg was kind of up in the air, and it just came whipping down. And he, in the last game, yes, when he had that dunk, he kind of slipped off the rim. His foot slammed against the
wrist landed.
He got a little bit of his wrist. Thank God it wasn't too bad, but his foot really slammed into the floor. And I think that whipping motion of his leg is what really caused, a bruise and some discomfort there. So they MRI'd him. They didn't know what to expect on the MRI. It doesn't look anything significantly long term. He could use maybe possibly a couple days. So I don't know what his availability will be next game. But it's the news was a lot better than maybe what it could have been. So we're happy where it's at, and he had a hard time walking this morning. He got better as the day went on, but he certainly wasn't in a position to play. Okay, thank you.
Billy Donovan, coach of the Chicago Bulls, right there. Appreciate Billy for his time on that one. I said that like he was on the show personally. Yeah, I was wondering that myself. Dog, the Lakers and Warriors are in a battle right now. I was wondering that myself with Javonte, because it seemed pretty out of nowhere that Javonte had a issue. You know what I'm saying? It seemed pretty out of nowhere that Javonte had a injury, and then it was like Derrick Jones Jr. is back, Zach LaVine out, expected that, Javonte Green out. What the heck happened there? By the way, over 100 in the chat. Oh no! Shout out to y'all, man. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, man. We do this every Bulls game, man. You're not getting this kind of content. The pettiest man alive in the building over here. I mean, come
Let's
on.
rock.
Let's rock.
rock.
What'd you hear about that Billy said that you like, man? What'd you hear that Billy
No,
said?
I want you to take your victory lap, man. Talk your stuff. What did you say that Billy Donovan confirmed? I want you to explain it to me again. I want the chat to say it again.
All I'm gonna say is this, man. With Vooch, I said this to you. I said it on the show. I said this in our personal time. We would have killed Chris Bosh, who's absolutely going to go down as a Hall of Famer, for playing third fiddle on the team the way he did in Miami. We would have. Nikola Vucevic had to adjust his entire game. A guy who was up until, we're talking about last season.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about last season because Zach LaVine, remember we got him, Zach went out. Vooch was the focal point of the Chicago Bulls last season. Up until last season, he was the number one option. So it's going to take time for him to get that back in order. Now, the thing was, the part where we were killing him was Vooch was missing wide open shots.
Wide open shots.
I can't take away from that. Vooch was struggling. He was playing. His shot selection was not working in his favor. But the way I've looked at this, and even just looking at kind of how Vooch was taking 7-8 3-pointers a game early in the season. Vooch tonight missed 4. He went 0 for 4, but he missed 4. Vooch is a big man. There is a different, and I feel like the NBA loses sight of this. There's a difference between a big man that can shoot and a shooting big man. Vooch is a big man that can shoot. Vooch down low. Now, defensively, he might not be the greatest guy in the world. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. Up against Joel Embiid, he's gonna have a tough time. Joel might drop 40. He's done it a couple times this season, but Vooch is still a guy that down low is going to do his best work in the post. He's going to pump you out of the way. He's going to hit you with the spin move. He's going to get the lay. You saw what he did to Karl Anthony Towns the other night. He's dominant down there. That's where you want to start his offense. And when the Bulls work through Vooch like they did tonight, like they've done a lot through this stretch where we've missed guys, it works better because Vooch's mindset is, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to kick it to the open shooters who are always open, because like you see tonight when he's cooking, we called out a triple team on Vooch like he was doggone Kobe Bryant down there. So all I'm saying is when I get it. I get like this is the one thing that, like I said, and shout out to Neil Funk for being in the building tonight, man. Loved having Neil. Hearing him, I'm gonna go back and listen to his call as well again on that second quarter. But Bulls fans get here. They can't see past here. We just lost this game. What does that mean right now? We just lost this game. What does that mean in this moment right now? I'm losing my mind right now. That's not what the season is. There are 82 games in this season. You have to look at the entire thing. And I think that's what Neil Funk really helped me to see, watching, listening to how he called these games. The Bulls would have a bad game with Derek, and he'd be like, it's a game. Bad game.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
Let me ask you something then. Along those lines. Right now, we're having some recency bias. Io has come on the scene. Io is a combo guard.
Yeah.
He is a combo guard. He can score. He can pass. He's a combo guard.
Well, you
we're
saw
now looking.
they let Kobe play the one, and Io played the two, and it worked.
And it worked. With that being said, why is it that the narrative now is Lonzo potentially, expendable as opposed to anything else? How do you feel about the recency bias that comes with that, as opposed to
I
just
think it's
appreciating the development of the rookie and then still value it in the fact that we absolutely clamored over, what Lonzo brought to this team and how it flowed differently when we allowed him to run point?
I think it's how I look at running backs, kind of. David Montgomery's great. Khalil Herbert replaced his production when he was gone. Lonzo Ball's great, and I'm not saying Io DeSumo is completely replaced what Lonzo Ball does, and I think there is where the difference kind of comes in. There's not a apples for apples comparison, but you're talking about, what's Lonzo now, 5-year vet? 5-year vet? Where a rookie's coming in and doing something similar to what we've seen. And so I think what you think is, when this contract's up, where he's making 84 over 4, 85 over 4, do we have to re-up on that? I think that's more of a thought process of end of contract. Hopefully we want a ring by that point. Do we have to re-up on Lonzo Ball, where if you re-up on him, he's going to get, he would get the max at that point, right?
It's one of the things where I don't think he can't get the max. He wouldn't get the max from us.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's that thought process. You know what I'm saying? Like if it comes down to it, would it be like, well, right now, 5 years from now, who knows what it'll be? But right now, it'd be 125 for him. That will be his next deal.
I think it's one of those things where 125 over 5 is $25 million a year, which would be, would be 20. He gets 21 a year.
He'd be 29.
So if it's 125 over 5, he would get $25 million a year.
He'd be 29. Are you gonna keep Lonzo till he's 34? He's a point guard, so it's a very different thing.
But
I'm not
relying
on just his athleticism and his shooting.
Lonzo was also a good rebounder. He's also a good facilitator, and he can give. And he's also one of the more efficient 3-point shooters in the league. He's evolved into that. So now it's I look at the take, and I don't. Everyone has their opinion, so I don't take offense to it. Frankly, you know me, I don't care. But it's just one of those things where, how is it that the narratives, and it's not just one person here. It's really heating up. I've heard it a lot.
Lonzo's 24. Lonzo's 24?
Yeah, they're young.
Lonzo's 26.
They're young. It's one of those things where it's like, how does someone can absolutely run the floor, a good corner, a good spot shooter, all those things? How is that person now replaceable from the rookie? But we're like saying, oh yeah, DJJ can stay. Javonte Green is getting on. It's like all the things that he does. Is it recency bias just because we're looking at one position, or we're looking at the players?
Of course it is.
Oftentimes wonder.
Well, here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. It's recency bias, and it's also the story around, or the tales that we hear about Io DeSumo. The tales that we hear about Io, where the only person that was asking Alex Caruso how did they win a championship was Io DeSumo. The first thing Io says when he gets into the All-Star game is, hey, I'm gonna just be picking people's brains down there. What is it about the game that you're excited about? Talking to people that have won championships and picking people's brains. And it's not, listen, like I said, it's more of a, do I keep this guy because this young guy has developed so well, or do I re-sign both? I think the scary part for Bulls fans is, how everyone is. You love the development. If you see a young guy develop, you want to hold on to that. because you feel like he's young, he can keep going, he's going to continue to develop. If we keep Lonzo and Io is that good, you're going to lose Io. You're not going to run Io at the 2 over Zach LaVine. I mean, maybe you run him at the 2 and you run Zach at the 3, but I think Zach's a little small.
Why wouldn't he just come off the bench and he just replaces our 2 guard off the bench?
That's a matter of it. That's a specific player. It's a lot of players that couldn't handle that. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a lot of tales about, like, Lou Williams even said it was hard for him to finally accept the 6-man role. And when he accepted it, he was 6th man of the year that year. But he said it was hard for him to accept that role because he had been used to being in the lineup. So it's really just about what the player can deal with, what the player can handle. You know what I'm saying? That's really what it comes down to. We got a couple people on the phone as well, man. Appreciate y'all for holding on. Let's go out to Shay. Shay had called in earlier, but I put him on hold because Billy Donovan started speaking. Let's go out to Shay out in the 773 again. Shay, what's going on?
Man, you basically just took the words out of my mouth. I've actually said some of the same stuff you said in the morning chat and on the line a couple of times.
Yeah.
And to answer your question, P Kid, the reason why is because it's like this. I think the Chicago is very excited for Io DeSumo and the fact that him being from Chicago. And on top of that, you got to think about it for a second. He doesn't necessarily need to score to affect winning. Not as does Lonzo. Now, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, you can see how much more the coach trusts him a little bit more with offense and late game situations than Lonzo. Think about it. DeMar DeRozan is doing less dribbling in the fourth quarter. I mean, he still does do a lot of dribbling, which sometimes pisses me off a little bit, but Io is able to take that pressure away from DeMar DeRozan in high pressure situation. Hell, you saw it in the last Oklahoma City game. You saw it in the Indiana Pacers game, from a whole bunch of other games. Even when Io has struggled, you could honestly say you definitely need his playmaking. You know what I mean? And then when you look at Vucevic, I could credit 50% of what Vucevic is doing now to Io DeSumo, because Io is now getting him back right. And honestly, when Io goes to the bench, when everybody's back, you may see a different Kobe White. And I'm gonna go on a limb about Nikola Vucevic. If we get a good matchup in the first round, I guarantee you, Vucevic might have a Nene Hilario series that he had against the Bulls. Vucevic may have that in the playoffs to shut a lot of the haters up. And don't be surprised if Kobe White has a Nate Robinson game. Hopefully, our defense will be so good where he don't have to put us on his back one of the
Hey Shay, I'm just curious. I guess I have to ask this question. Because we all have our players, and I'm an Io fan. But how did Io's recent production become a threat to Lonzo and not Kobe White? At what point did Io, as a combo guard, not replace the guy who he absolutely did replace, but he replaced the starting point guard who earlier was doing some of the same stuff? And we even said we're not allowing him to run point. How many times did we say we're not allowing him to run point? So we know Lonzo can do all of those things, and he's more efficient. How did, from your perspective, Io's ascendance replace Lonzo's production as opposed to Kobe White's inconsistency?
Because the simple question, like I said early on, Io is not necessarily a catch and shoot where his game relies on the scoring. And like I said before, the coach, you could tell the coach and the team kind of trust Io a little bit more in high pressure playmaking clutch situations as opposed to Lonzo. Now on the other hand, Lonzo can shoot better than Io, and he's probably a good defender at this rate. But when you look at, like, Ayo at this point is getting better and better and better. Now Lonzo's getting better too. He went from having a Joakim, having a how do I say it, Sean Marion type jump shot, from having a almost perfect jump shot. Now on the other hand, you have to look at this. Who does the team trust more in high pressure situations when it comes to playmaking? Don't look at the defense. Don't look at the 3-point situation. Who does the team trust more? You can see
when healthy, we trust Ayo and we trust Lonzo more.
Yeah,
Kobe White wouldn't even be on the.
I don't think there's any distrust in Lonzo Ball. And Shay, appreciate you for calling in as always, man.
Lonzo Ball, but at the same time, you can tell people the team feels a tad bit more comfortable, and like I said before, he has gotten Nikola Vucevic back to, I hate to say it, all-star contention. Now,
I don't think I can't give Ayo credit for that. And appreciate you for calling in as always, Shay. We really do. We got some other callers on the line, man. Stay safe out there. I can't give Ayo credit for that because that's Billy Donovan. Billy Donovan made the decision to send Vooch down in the post.
Coaching changed.
The coaching around Vooch changed, and the reason the coaching around Vooch changed is because the players changed. And I'll tell you this is one thing Bulls fans need to watch out for: how this has happened. Right? What did we see at the end of games when Lonzo was in the game? What we saw at the end of games was Lonzo would let Zach LaVine go 1-on-1. Lonzo would let DeMar DeRozan go 1-on-1. Billy would let that happen. We'd have a problem with it. Bulls would kind of squeak out a win. They would skirt by, and it would work out. What you're seeing now, not to say that you like the injury, but I like how things have gone because you can't trust the rookie as much as you trust Lonzo. So you go to Vooch to facilitate things out of the post. And guess what? Now that works so much better because now let's have that same mentality with Lonzo Ball in the game. We throw it down to Vooch in the post, let Vooch operate there. The reason you see Lonzo going out to the corner, he shoots 42% from 3. Now, guess what? Lonzo Ball's open in the corner. Vooch kicks it out to him. Zoe's got the court vision. He moves the ball around. Bulls move the ball around. They can get it back to Vooch, or they can make a shot. What you're seeing now is here's the thing, right? Enjoy what you're seeing. Enjoy what you're seeing from the Bulls because to me, this is how you build these players in preparation for the playoffs. Ayo Dosunmu is learning on the fly, and he's doing a great job at it. You can't take away anything he's done. Kobe White has absolutely gotten himself to the point where he's becoming the scorer off of the bench for you. I mean, he had 16, 9, and 8 tonight. Great game tonight for Kobe White. 4 for 6 from the 3-point line. But the thing is, how do these guys all fit together? That's what's going to get you to the championship. That's what's going to get you to the playoffs. You never heard Andre Iguodala talking about, I want to take the last shot coming off of the bench, or I want to be the point guard when I'm in the game with Steph. It's about how does the entire team, how does the entire bench work? And I think the Bulls' top 8, I would hope you had a guard in there, or not a guard. I would hope you had, don't go get Goran Dragic. I would hope you had a big man in there. But the Bulls' top 8 players, which you're probably going to go to an 8-man rotation, is one of the most deadly in the NBA.
Well, that's a good question for you, though. So here's the thing. Does going after a Goran Dragic mean that we are expecting Caruso not to be there? Does it mean that we are expecting the veteran to have more, who has more on court? He's more situationally aware.
Yeah.
Because realistically, in playoffs, your rotations, like you mentioned, they do get tighter.
Yeah. It could be that. It could be
so
that's
why go after a Goran if you trust Kobe, if you trust Ayo, if you trust Lonzo, if you trust Caruso? Which realistically, I trust the first 3 and not the last 3 and not the former.
I'm gonna need you to stop peeking into my video categories. This is the thing, right? Going into the playoffs, you don't know what you're gonna get from Ayo Dosunmu and Kobe White. You don't. They're rookies. Well, Kobe's what, 3rd year in, never been in the playoffs. Ayo Dosunmu is a rookie.
IQ is IQ. He's playing high IQ basketball.
But you know when you go into the playoffs, it's a different beast.
It means
you know when that pressure.
You know what? That's true, Jay. Say.
You know when that pressure and it means Matt Thomas is off the team. That's a fact. You know when that pressure is different, it's a different beast. You know what I'm saying? We saw that with Ayo in that last OKC game. No, in the Spurs game, right? Which game was it? He made 3 plays in a row that absolutely lost us the game. Now, nobody wanted to say it because he's a rookie. Oh, rookie's got to learn. Rookie, he absolutely made 3 plays in a row. And Zach
Did you hear what he said about that?
He said it's on me. I got to learn from it.
No, did you hear what he said Billy did?
Oh, no, I didn't see that.
So Ayo was asked about that straight up because the next game he closed out with the dunk.
Closed out great, yeah.
That following day he gave an interview and he said, what did Billy pretty much say about that? And he said, hey, Billy didn't say much at all. He said, I was actually kind of nervous to speak to him. And he pretty much said, what did I learn from that situation? And they had that conversation. He was like, that's it. He was like, yeah, that's it. And then he went out and he closed out the game. So they spoke about it the next day, and Billy gave him another opportunity to close out. He did it, had a much better game.
Yeah.
And the one thing I love about it is it showed Billy as that him expressing that showed the genius of Billy Donovan with the young players.
Yeah.
We can kill him on being a little slow on adjustments and stuff like that, but he absolutely handled that right.
Absolutely.
And he had a player he could do it with. So I think it would be a shame to even think that he would go into the playoffs and not give that same player those opportunities because he's showing improvement. He's showing improvement every game.
No,
even with
it's
the
not,
different things,
It's not that he's not going to give them the opportunity. I agree with you, but let's be real. Did Lonzo? No, Lonzo Ball's never been in the playoffs. Zach LaVine's never been in the playoffs. Vooch has never been out of the first round. We're expecting this team to make it out of the first round. Kobe's never been in the playoffs. DeMar's the only one that's been far. DeMar and Caruso, they've been far.
Caruso has a ring.
Caruso has a ring. There's a lot of inexperience on this team, and you kind of hope that Alex Caruso has that impact of like not Chris Paul. Who was my man's with a ring that went to the team and they wanted to know? I can't think.
Why?
Kawhi. When you kind of hope he has that impact where there's a lot of pieces on that team where it's like these are young dudes, these are guys that have been here, but they've never really made it to this level.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, like, I'm gonna navigate you through this. Caruso's a role player, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, even if you're talking about Chris Paul getting guys to the finals last year, Chris Paul is a star. Caruso's a role player. So you kind of hope that he has that effect on the team and that the
very important role player. In fact, they should have really kept him. It's crazy to think that the Lakers really could have.
I know why they didn't, but I don't know why they didn't with this team. I get why they didn't when I watch Austin Reeves play, but I don't get why they didn't keep him with this team, seeing how the Lakers are playing right now.
Austin Reeves was not even a factor.
Austin Reeves is on the floor closing out games right now.
Well, he is now because of injuries, I'm saying, but at the time with Caruso, he wasn't even a factor.
He's been pretty good all season. When you watch him, like when I watch Austin Reeves, I'm like, yeah, I can see him being a Caruso type player. Like I get what their mindset is. Like, oh, we got the next dude that can be this guy, and we're not because they were gonna give. What's Caruso gonna get? What's he getting here? 85 over 5.
He's not going to get close to. They didn't want to offer him close to what anywhere close to what he's getting now. They were trying to lowball him so much.
They were trying to lowball him to get him to leave, basically.
Yeah, it was something. It was something.
Definitely wild. Hey, we got some people that have been hanging on the phone for a while, man. We want to hear from Bulls fans as well. Let's go out to the 219. We got Maul on the line. Maul, what's going on, my boy?
What's going on, Pat? What's up, P Kid?
What's going on with you?
What's your thoughts on the game, my boy?
So a few things I want to talk about what y'all was talking about. One, good to see Vucevic playing this way. Like, I know a lot of people was down him in the beginning of the season, and even I was like, come on, Vuce, you got to get it together. It's good to see him get that confidence back and really attack the post. One thing that I really thought about, what you said, Pat, is like, when you look back at that Miami Heat team with Chris Bosh, and even if you go to the Cleveland Cavaliers team with Kevin Love, I remember like being in high school how much I hated the Heat, and the guy that I hated the most was LeBron James because I was a Bulls fan, so I had to hate LeBron. But the guy I hated the most was Chris Bosh because I was like, why is he in the post? Why is he doing this? Why is he doing that? And I would literally say like, Chris Bosh is so trash. He's just garbage. They need to trade him. it wasn't until I got older and I learned more about the game of basketball that I really understood, like, Chris Bosh did a lot of sacrificing on that team by changing his game completely because he had to get out the paint to let LeBron operate and drive the way he wanted to, you know? So Bosh had to step out and be like, okay, I got to take more threes, more jump shots. And I didn't respect that until Chris Bosh was out the league. And then a guy on YouTube named Legend of Winning actually made a video about it. But he really talked about how, like, Chris Bosh sacrificed a lot of his game to do that. And when you look at Chris Bosh's numbers, the year LeBron left and Chris Bosh was on that team before he started dealing with those,
they go right back up.
His numbers were jumping back to what they were in Toronto. Like, he was getting like 20, 25 points a game and everything, and he was attacking and being a dominant force in the post. So that's why I wasn't that's why I wasn't really shocked at Vooch numbers dropping the way they did and everything. Now, again, he was missing easy shots, and that was annoying. But when people was like, oh, Vooch is just trash, he's not good at all, I was like, no, he just has to adjust to a team where he has two ball handlers who attack the paint and can post up mid-range. Now, the great thing about this team, different from that Miami Heat team, DeMar and Zach can operate within the mid-range and the perimeter, you know? So Vooch can have more chance in that post. And we see the offense moves a lot better when we're operating with Vooch in the post and he's able to cut. Tonight, we missed Javonte Green because there were several passes that, you saw Vooch throw the ball away and it was like he was expecting a cut right there. Or Javonte was there, he would have got that. He would have known exactly how Javonte would have cut. So that's something that I saw tonight that I was like, yeah, that's why we need a Javonte Green out there on certain nights to help Vooch get those assists.
Yeah. No,
hey, man, great insight, man. I appreciate you calling in. I absolutely agree.
Absolutely. One more thing. I know y'all got other talks. One more thing.
What's going on?
The debate between Lonzo Ball and Ayo DeSumo, it's just recency bias. It happens all the time because remember when Tony Bradley had a couple of games and Vooch was not playing well, but Tony Bradley had a couple of games of doing well, and people was like, we should put Vooch on the bench and Tony Bradley should start. It wasn't until Tony Bradley started and Vooch was actually out there, he was like, no, we don't need to ever try that again. That's what it is. Ayo is great and he's playing really well, but Lonzo is our starting point guard. You don't pay a man $80 million and expect him to come off the bench. When Ayo was coming off the bench with Kobe White, there was a lot of people saying, oh, Ayo was making Kobe White replaceable. And I know PK was on that bandwagon. But
hey, it's not a bandwagon. I've been on that since day one.
Hey, he's not on the bandwagon.
I'm driving that one.
What pow?
I got that bad boy in fifth gear, bro.
So fifth gear. Now that Ayo was starting, a lot of people are like, oh, we should start Ayo. There were people who I saw making trade ideas like trade Alonzo and Kobe White for this player. And I'm like, we're not trading Lonzo Ball because Ayo is playing fantastic and he has stepped up in a lot. But we're going to keep Lonzo Ball for the foreseeable future.
Paid him $80 million to trade him.
Hey man, we definitely appreciate
why would you pay $80 million just to trade him? But hey, then again, they traded Spencer Dinwiddie, and I did not expect that shit to go down the way they did.
Yeah, that's true.
I did not expect them to trade Spencer Dinwiddie, but I don't think they're trading. Like they're not going to trade Lonzo. He's still going to be our starting point guard for now and the foreseeable future. And then we'll see what Ayo develops because he's on even though he's on a rookie contract, he's a second-year player, and his contract isn't normal. Like. I think next year he can become a restricted free agent or a free agent. So we'll see what they do. But as far as I'm concerned, Ayo's playing great, but he's not going to replace Lonzo for right now. Now, 4 years from now, we'll see where they both develop and go from there. Yeah. And like you said, we'll see if Ayo was willing to accept being that sixth man off the bench. But that right now, I don't think we're going to nothing's going to change. When Lonzo comes back, Lonzo's going to be for real the starting point guard unless they try to work him back into that starting lineup.
Appreciate you calling in, my boy. Thanks so much.
Calling in as always, my boy, man. Stay safe out there, all right, Ma?
I love the acknowledgement of being that third man. You know who a lot of people don't really understand, and I'm glad to see that he's actually doing well now too, because he actually had to deal with a mental health issue based off of having been the third guy and us, the fans, killing him. Kevin Love. Nobody remembers that Kevin Love was averaging 26 and 13 the year before he got to the Cavs in the paint. 26 and 13 off 46% shooting, dominating.
When
He gets to the Cavs, and then all of a sudden he's a spot up shooter in the corner.
Hey, when Karl Anthony Towns said, "I'm the best shooting big man ever," I was just like, "You're not even the best shooting big man ever
in your organization,
in your
history.
franchise."
Yeah, KG ran through there. Like, come on, dog. It's one of those things where, like, you and look at how they trashed Kevin Love. Anything that went wrong on the Cavs, it was Kevin Love's fault.
Kevin Love's fault. Can't be Bron's fault. Can't be Kyrie's fault. Got to be Kevin Love's fault.
Can't be Kyrie's fault. Can't be Bron's fault. It's
and
all
that's what.
it absolutely was Kevin Love's and Kyrie's fault. Kyrie got up out of there because they were trying to get rid of him, and then it ended up falling on Kevin Love, who they couldn't trade because of his contract.
This is
he was due for some big money. He took a huge hit from a reputation standpoint, fan standpoint, just to be in that situation. So I'm glad to see the Cavs are doing well now. People look at his numbers now, they don't realize this is an older Kevin Love. He's only playing 22 minutes. He's still giving you 14 points and like 8 boards, I think. Like, but a starting young Kevin Love was absolutely, I think he was the last person to give you a 30-30 game.
Yeah.
Was it? Or did someone else recently do it?
Yeah. Nobody else gave you a 30-30.
So someone can fact check it if you want to, but if Kevin Love, if he's not the very last one, because I think I think Giannis
is a historical big man if he continued on Minnesota.
If it was a fifth, he gonna get traded before he even breaks that record. But like if you look at it, I think somebody did it recently. I think it's Jokic. I think Jokic I think he got close, a 30 and 28 game. I think he got either close or he broke it. But if you look at the list of people who put up a 30-30 game, Kevin Love is one of the last people to do it in modern history.
We got time.
Gotta go up to the next call.
We got time for one more caller, man, because we get into an hour here. Me and Kid have made a promise to our families that we won't be down here for an hour, 2 hours, or an hour and a half to 2 hours talking Bulls basketball because we like seeing our wives. So we're gonna go out to Marv on out in Dallas, man. Marv, what's going on?
What's going on, Pat, P-Kid?
How you feeling, man?
Feeling good, man. Just to start with P-Kid, you ain't have very many people that have a 30-30 situation, but you had one person that just dominated. That was Wilt. He had 128 of them. How about that?
That is crazy.
Wilt was just ridiculous, man. But to the Bulls, you see what good guard play do, right? It started an argument with us about Alonzo Ball. Pat, haven't you always said that's a good argument, ain't it, guys?
It's a great argument to have. Hey, should we trade our really good point guard because we got a really good point guard? It's never a bad argument.
That's right. And let me show you how this is going to work, guys. If you guys know, what happens is this. Alonzo Ball is a fast break point guard. Ayo is a half court point guard. That's a good thing to have on our team, guys. The only thing that I say we might have to tinker with is once Ayo, because Ayo's going back to the bench when Lonzo come back. So y'all might as well get ready for that.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
If we could sprinkle Vooch in with the second group to make sure that half-court offense with Ayo runs better, it will work perfectly. Now, I know that messes up Vooch's minutes, but that's something I bet you Billy's starting to think about because at the present time, we got a good problem. We got two good point guards. Please, out of sight, out of mind does not mean that Alonzo Ball ain't good. He's damn good. Y'all know that. Y'all know it is.
Yeah,
also,
for sure.
Cleveland lost today, guys. Philly won. Toronto lost today. You remember I said after that Phoenix game when everybody was going crazy that we had a little kind of easier games coming up?
Yeah.
Well, they got tougher games coming up before the All-Star break.
Yeah.
And here we are sitting at 36-21 with two winnable games before the All-Star break. Now, P-Kid, you remember you asked me about my record on how I wrote down the wins and losses, and I think on my record I got 37-22 at the break. If we win these next two, we're going to be 38-21. And that's at the break. Now, mind you, right after the break, that's when our schedule toughens up quite a bit. It's 23 games left after the break, guys. We got 10 games out of those 23 against upper echelon teams. That's it, 10 out of 23. If we lose all 10 of those games, our record would still be only 31 losses that year. And we're not going to lose all 10 of those games against the Miamis and the Phillies and the Phoenix and all of them, because that's when we're going to be playing better. Also, Milwaukee, they're going to go on another little tough stretch. See, these guys are playing each other while we got the likes of the New Orleans and Sacramento's coming up. Well, they playing each other. Boston playing Philly playing Brooklyn. Brooklyn down there won tonight too, guys, against Miami. They lost by 3 points.
Yeah.
So for all the fans, man, out there, one game at a time.
One game at a time.
One game at a time, guys. And if you think this loss wasn't good enough for you, then you can't ride with me, because I'm taking the dub myself.
Hey, shout out to you, Marv. Appreciate you for always calling in, man, and showing love, man. Stay safe out there in Dallas, man.
Yes, sir.
Hey.
Yes, sir.
Hey, man, I should have asked. That's my bad. I was going to ask Marv. Hey, Marv, comment in the chat, man. Shout out to you, man. I wanted to know Marv's Super Bowl pick. I ain't going to lie to you. I don't know. Marv, it's a lot of dudes that call into the show that really show good insight. And I always want to know, like, hey, what's your pick on this? What's your thought on this? Bulls don't play again till Monday. So we got a little bit of time off. Yeah, I'm saying. First off, before we get up out of here, who's y'all Super Bowl pick? Let us know in the chat. Kid, who you got going in the bowl, my boy?
Come on, man. Stop playing with your boy.
They might not have tuned into the morning show.
Hey,
who's
Matt Statty. Stop playing with your boy, man.
Matt Statty. Is that what we calling him? I like that.
That's what I'm calling
him. Statty Ice. Matt Statty's not bad. You just came up with that off the rip. That's not bad.
I've been calling him that all week, dog. That's my nickname for him. I don't care what y'all think. That's my guy. That's my guy. I'm rolling with Matt. If they lose, they lose. But I'm rolling with Matt. I'm rolling with Matt. I'm rolling with OBJ. I'm rolling with Aaron Donald.
Hey, I think I'm not
gonna
get
in tune with it.
The closer I get to the game, I think Cincy wins. I don't. I think Rams win like big. But I think if there's ever gonna be a shot for Cincy to win, right? If there's ever gonna be a shot for Cincy to win, it's gonna be because the game's gonna be close. Burrow's probably gonna still have like 15 sacks on his docket, but the game's gonna be close. And Matt Stafford's going to make them same mistakes he made versus San Francisco and versus Tampa Bay. But finally, a team's going to capitalize on it.
Nah. Nah. Matt Statty.
Hey, man. Bulls got the dub tonight, 106-101. That's what it all comes down to, man. We appreciate y'all for tuning in and rocking with us for another show. As always, it's your boy, Pat the Designer, joined by the pettiest man alive, Mr. P. Kid. Hey, yo, Chicago.
Gang.
Continue watching the channel, man. Like the video, subscribe to the page, all that stuff. Y'all stay safe out there. Peace.